Starting things off at number 10, the body slap. Now I know I'll be changing my tune here a bit, but I will say, I think Jake is a better boxer than most give him credit for. I have no doubt if him and I stepped into a ring, he'd probably beat me. I know, surprising, right? Can't say for sure, depends how much time we got to prep and all, but I mean the guy has at least 3 inches height-wise on me. Just want to clarify, 3 inches in regards to our physical height, and maybe 30 or 35 pounds on me. I got the inches elsewhere. That being said, during a face-off against his soon-to-be opponent, Jake didn't really impress me all that much with his body shot or slap. For those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, Jake Paul is set to face off against Ben Askren, a retired MMA fighter, on April 17th. Prior to their fight, the two would meet in a face-to-face press conference of sorts, in which Jake would run his mouth, selling the fight as he does. As the two were face-to-face, Ben started to walk away while putting his hand on Jake's face and pushing off. This man gave Jake a full-on stiff arm slash face wash. Jake in response decided to slap Ben with an open hand on the body and then push his back, which led to Ben laughing. Not a good look weeks before a fight, that's for sure. At number 9, the drive-by. Once upon a time, prior to the Ben Askren fight being confirmed, Jake was trying to get something going with one of the biggest names in the combat sports world, Conor McGregor. Although McGregor wasn't entertaining the idea, Dylan Dennis, who was McGregor's jiu-jitsu partner, seemed interested. This led to Dennis and Paul chirping over social media, which has been going on for the last few years. And during a street interview with a mutual friend, Jake and his friends drove up on Dennis, throwing water balloons and toilet paper at him. As Dennis ran toward the truck, which Jake was sitting in the bed of, you heard the YouTuber and his friends tell the driver to quickly go in hopes that Dennis wouldn't catch up to them. Who knows if this was planned or not? They also had water balloons, as I mentioned before, but again, in the fight game, toilet paper, water balloons, and belly slaps just ain't Jake. It's not how you go about things. If anything, if you bring like a white belt, you know, like you're a white belt, you're a beginner, that's a better chirp than water balloons and toilet paper. On to number 8, Zayn Malik. So this story is a bit of a strange one, but in a nutshell, it seems that Jake and Zayn Malik may have run into each other while in Vegas. Well, sort of. It seems the story first broke on Twitter when Jake more or less tried to call out Zayn, saying he almost had to clap him because the former One Direction singer was so rude for no reason. Then Zayn's girlfriend Gigi Hadid decided to step up for the respectful king, as she referred to him, telling Jake that he's irrelevant and simply didn't want to hang out with Jake and his YouTube friends. Just to clarify, Gigi told Jake that Jake is irrelevant, not Zayn. She's not chirping her own man. The next morning, Jake would delete his aggressive tweet and instead put out a classic tweet along the lines of, "I can't have my phone on me while I'm drunk." It seems the two never really spoke about the incident afterward, but I doubt Zayn really cared to play into Jake's childlike games and instead is focused on raising his family. Like a true respectful king. Didn't kings like just behead people and do awful things? I mean, I know you say like king and queen are like a good thing, right? But like, I don't know. I feel like kings were responsible for a lot of bad things too. That's all I'm saying. I know I know in today's day and age, being a king or a queen is a good thing, but we gotta think about what we're saying here, folks. Let's bring it on over to lucky number 7, Logan tackles Armand. Taking us back to the fantastic year that 2020 was, prior to Jake's bout with fellow YouTuber Gib, it seems Jake's manager and brother went at it. More specifically, if you guys remember prior to his house being raided, Jake was managed by Armand Idazi. Rumor has it that Idazi has a bit of a troubled past, but clearly aligned with Jake in hopes of trying to turn that around. However, on the day of Jake's fight, when one of his assistants showed up an hour late with Jake's breakfast, Armand got very upset. This led to a confrontation which appeared to simmer down, only to ramp back up when Armand saw that Logan's camera guy was filming. Armand then swung at Logan's cameraman, which led to Logan literally jumping on Armand's back, tackling him to the ground and putting him in a chokehold, which led to Jake's manager literally tapping. It seems the two no longer work together, but this probably isn't the main reason why. More on that later. On to number 6, riots in Arizona. At the height of the George Floyd protests, in which many people were unfortunately also looting stores and some rioting, Jake Paul appeared to expose himself. Although there isn't anything about it on his YouTube page anymore, because he took it down, numerous videos and clips were shared to Twitter and Instagram showing Paul and his friends walking around the inside of a mall, which was being looted. At one point, Paul shared footage of himself at the protests in Arizona, which included large groups of police with riot gear, firing tear gas in their direction. As Paul explained, him and his friends were trapped and the only way out was toward the mall, so that's where they went. Why they actually went inside of the mall, as well as restaurants where windows were being shattered, I couldn't tell you. Jake said for safety reasons, but the video appeared to show otherwise. Either way, Jake claimed innocence, but it seems he was still investigated, which led to the FBI showing up to his house. More on that later as well. Yay! Halfway at 5, Team 10 is the first content house. When Jake tried to take responsibility for creating the first content house ever, well, the internet really let him have it, and that's because he didn't. Trying to make light of the recent controversies he was involved in, Jake tweeted out, I quote, "I create the first content house, then there's 500 content houses. I start boxing, now every influencer is a boxer. What's next? Y'all gonna get raided by the FBI on purpose?" Now I'll give it to him. Funny tweet for sure. But he seems to forget the first few to make content houses such as Our Second Life, which include the likes of Connor Franta and Ricky Dillon, among a handful of other creators. There was also the FaZe House, and of course the Sidemen, which includes KSI. In regards to boxing, well, both Joe Weller and KSI stepped in the ring prior to Jake. And the FBI rating thing, well, that's not something to be so proud of, but it seems a handful of other YouTubers have since been raided by the FBI, and even before Jake was, and it's usually for bad reasons. So, not a club that you want to be a part of. At number 4, assistant drama. I'm not sure what I can or can't say thanks to the incredible policies that are very necessary to protect people from the real world. Thank you for that, YouTube. But a while back, there were some accusations and rumors involving Jake Paul's former assistant and FaZe Banks. At first, Banks was accused of more or less clotheslining Jake's former assistant when he was drunk at the club in an effort to get her to come to his table. It wasn't an attack, more so an aggressive way of trying to grab someone to join you and your friends. So I just want to clarify that. He didn't deliberately go out to hurt somebody. And then everything unraveled with the two sides apparently handling things off of camera. Unfortunately, we can't fully know what happened and what was real or not real because it seems a lot of the videos that were posted about the situation were done for views. And a serious claim like this shouldn't be turned into entertainment, yet that's what happens when you have 20-year-olds calling the shots. When all was said and done, Jake would be called out for being manipulative toward Alyssa, his ex-girlfriend. FaZe explained how they put it all behind them, but he also told Jake he'd be pursuing legal action for defamation, as it seems Jake and the Team 10 group were trying to manipulate the situation and make it something it wasn't. And all because his ex, Alyssa Violet, wanted to be with FaZe? Can't say for sure, but it did seem like a jealous ex-boyfriend move to me. All of a sudden, Alyssa and FaZe started seeing each other, then FaZe got into drama with Jake. Wild accusations. There were claims that apparently people from Team 10 tried to get FaZe very drunk and potentially put something in his drink. Again, I don't know what's real, what's not, because it's YouTube, right? This isn't the real world. It's YouTube. So who knows, really? Number 3, COVID is a hoax. To no surprise, when a journalist claimed that Jake Paul referred to COVID-19 as a hoax, well, people were pissed. And Jake immediately tried to downplay what he said, explaining, I quote, "So this guy, this reporter, he misquoted me. He took what I said out of context, and I told him that. I told him that the whole time. COVID is very real. Like, it's killed so many people. It's killed people I know. It's killed someone very, very close to me. So that's what I'm saying. I don't even know where that came from." Okay. But then the reporter, the Daily Beast's Marlo Stern, released the full audio in which Jake can be heard saying, I quote, "There are people losing jobs. There are small businesses who are going bankrupt. There are millions of people who are unemployed right now. People are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope with everything that's going on. This is the most detrimental thing to our society. COVID cases are at less than 1%. And I think the disease is a hoax. You know, 98% of the news is fake. So how do we know what's actually real and what we're actually supposed to do?" Now, I will say, guys, I do feel context is important here, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm defending Jake because it's not what I'm doing, but it seems like Jake didn't necessarily mean it was fake, but maybe not as severe as initially thought it was. But again, guys, that's just my perception of what he said. Who knows what he really meant? At number 2, FBI raids. I've been alluding to this one a lot, and following the footage of Jake being seen in Arizona, while other people were clearly seen smashing windows and stealing from stores, the FBI decided to investigate Jake and his friend. And when they searched his house, photos of guns laying around were captured, with people making comparisons of Jake to that of Tony Montana, or at least people making jokes at Jake's expense. It seems the FBI raid was related to the Arizona riots. However, other sources claim that Jake's former manager, the one that Logan tackled, was being investigated for having a shady past. Either way, it seems since the raid, Jake has since distanced himself from Armand, as the two don't appear to be seen together very often anymore. And at number 1, taking out a loan for Team 10. For a guy who thinks COVID is a hoax, it sure was surprising to hear he got a government bailout because of the pandemic. In December of 2020, it was revealed that Jake Paul, on behalf of Team 10, received a Paycheck Protection Program bailout loan from the government, amounting to a total of $34,800. The loan was designed for small businesses to keep their employees on a payroll, even with the decline in business due to the pandemic. For Paul, he claimed that he employs videographers, editors, managers, and so on, yet he was still creating content, so I don't see how their wages would be affected. Jake was also seen partying in the weeks after he would have received the loan, so that kind of added insult to injury, on top of him claiming it's a hoax, and of course living in a multi-million-dollar mansion in Calabasas. So really, how much was he hurting? Couldn't tell you. Then again, as we know in business, there's always ways to, say you make less than you do, so the company's making less. There's ways around it. That's just business, unfortunately. At
number 10, Kat Von D feud. Back in 2016, Jeffree star and fellow makeup mogul Kat Kat Von D got into a pretty big beef online, which resulted in the two of them becoming frenemies. They had been friends since 2006, and 2 years after that, Kat started her makeup business. Not too long after, Jeffree launched his company and things were calm. But 2016 rolled around and things got messy. Kat somehow found out that Jeffree had allegedly neglected to pay one of their mutual friends for their graphic design work. Jeffree denied these allegations, but Kat took things public and posted to her Instagram where she told her followers that she no longer wanted to be associated with Jeffree Star. After a bout of tweeting and sometime later, Kat released a video about Jeffree, and in retaliation, Jeffree did the same. Basically, they were trying to tell their sides of the whole graphic design controversy. Things ended with their GD friend tweeting saying that things have been resolved between him and Jeffree. Throughout this debacle and Kat wanting to quote disassociate herself from him, she even tried removing a lipstick shade that she named after Jeffree, but she couldn't because she didn't actually own the rights to her company. Jeffree briefly brought up the drama in 2018 when he did a video titled Full Face of Brands That Hate Me, and he gave more details about their feud, but since then they've kept their distance from each other. But before we get into our next point, make sure you guys tap that like button because it really helps us out.
In at number 9, Hush Money. Long before Jeffree Star had built his YouTube makeup empire, he was merely a politically incorrect MySpace celebrity. In addition to his many other controversies, some of Star's former friends, peers, and associates have all exposed him for being physically and at times sexually abusive towards others at the height of his MySpace fame. Yes, MySpace fame was a thing. Now, Insider.com had done a lot of digging into these allegations. In their investigation, they obtained text message exchanges between the victims and alleged abuser Jeffree Star. The sources cited that there was even a $10,000 offer made by Star for them to retract their allegations. There was also one accuser and 2 other people who witnessed Jeffree grope men around him without their consent. A total of 5 people even said that they personally witnessed Jeffree use a close-range stun gun and other tasing devices to hurt and intimidate those around him. Regardless, not only did this controversy open up more information about his abusiveness, but it also proved that he was paying people to stay quiet about it.
At number 8, Bi Sister. I'm sure you're all familiar with the events of Dramageddon and the Bi Sister scandal. Basically, there was some drama regarding Tati Westbrook, James Charles, and Jeffree Star, and a bunch of other people. Tati was upset with James for having endorsed one of her vitamin competitors, Sugar Bear Hair, and went on to read him to filth, making allegations and really just painting him to be the villain. Jeffree Star later joined in on the controversy by adding receipts to back Tati up about the allegations that she made, among other things. Later on down the line, Tati dragged Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson into the mix, where she blamed them for the events of the scandal and that they were the ones who planted the evidence against James. Meanwhile, James was left picking up the pieces of his shattered career and was left without very many allies. Now, because this is an internet scandal, we can never really know for sure if something was true or not and who said what, but the bottom line is that Jeffree was totally involved and he got a lot of backlash for adding himself into the drama the first time.
In at number 7, Too Faced Cosmetics. In 2016, Too Faced Cosmetics and beauty blogger Nikki Tutorials teamed up to make a palette called The Power of Makeup by Nikki Tutorials. This launch was a massive success and led to more than $9 million in sales for Too Faced. However, Nikki ended up only making $50,000. Now, this may seem like nothing in terms of what the company had grossed, but in reality there was a lot more at play when it comes down to a business deal. Perhaps Nikki only was able to negotiate that much and thus the company took in more profit. Due to Nikki being rather close with Jeffree Star though, he needlessly got himself involved. Star decided to tweet out, "Hey Gerard Landino, should I expose how shady you were with Nikki Tutorials' contract, or maybe save that for another day?" Yes, Jeffree, because the way to get a better business deal for your friends is to openly threaten blackmail online.
At number 6, the Cremated palette. Back in May, Jeffree Star released his winter/spring collection, including his black and white palette called Cremated. This collection faced a lot of backlash because of its name and overall vibe. Since the collection came out in the midst of quarantine, a lot of fans thought that the name was very distasteful and disrespectful to the many people who had died during the coronavirus pandemic. People thought that the name of the palette was inappropriate because of its relation to death and burial practices, and the promotional photos didn't go over well either because of the vibe Jeffree was going for. Since the palette was a black and white color scheme and had death vibes, if you will, Jeffree included glamour shots of coffins, hearses, and other gothic and death-related imagery. If that wasn't enough to make fans upset, the names of the eyeshadow shades included words like the morgue, gravedigger, and death certificate. When Jeffree responded to the backlash, he reassured his fans that he didn't mean to offend anyone with the collection and that the collection names and everything was created and finalized in late 2019 before the pandemic hit. Though it wasn't intended to offend anyone, it still maybe wasn't the best time to release that collection.
In at number 5, Hairy Makeup. For some people that had ordered the Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson Conspiracy Collection eyeshadow palette, they got a little extra something along with it. No, it wasn't a gift bag or a free t-shirt. Some people actually found hair-like material material mixed into the product. One customer tweeted a reply to Jeffree and attached a video of her pulling a hair out of her palette, and in the tweet she said, "Hey Jeffree, I love the conspiracy palette, but I was swatching pigment and found a hair-like material in it. I just wanted to address the issue and hopefully get it resolved." In response, Jeffree stated that they were not hairs but rather ribbon fibers, adding that they are not toxic, it's completely safe, but still disgusting. At least he got that part right.
At number 4, animal exploitation. This more recent scandal has people coming for Jeffree Star among other influencers for their alleged involvement in animal exploitation. Recently, some influencers came under fire for posing with various primates as they promoted the brand Bananas Monkey. Though a lot of people online were criticizing those who participated in the promotion for their exploitation of these animals and their alleged encouragement of owning wild species, Jeffree Star was specifically picked on for having double standards in regards to the security of animals. Some fans pointed out that though he prides himself on having a vegan and cruelty-free makeup line, he's been seen handling and posing with wild animals. We had the backlash following the use of monkeys in the PR stunt, as well as his recent use of a large alligator or crocodile or whatever it was from the set of his new Blood Money collection shoot. Fans on Twitter were calling him out for his involvement with these wild animals being used as props in the entertainment industry and highlighted some of the treatments that these animals may get, calling these actions, quote, exploitative and gross.
And at number 3, bullying kids. Jeffree is no stranger to online feuds. He's gone to war on Twitter with some of the top celebrities, which was all fine because it was just adults arguing with other adults. But when he set his sights on 10-year-old Mason Disick, that was a little bit too far. To be fair, Mason decided to fire first, but at the end of the day, he was 10 years old. You would think that would have made Jeffree stop himself from retaliating, but no.
I'm glad you feel so much better about yourself, David.
Because Jeffree Star is like spoiled AF.
How weird is this world? You have Addison Rae, a TikTok star, basically babysitting Mason through Instagram Live as he goes off on different celebrities. And as you saw in that clip, he called him spoiled AF, to which Jeffree Star replied in a now deleted tweet, "I had $500 in my bank account 6 years ago. Maybe he's confused with his own privilege versus mine being self-made. Hopefully his father can educate him soon." Okay, Jeffree, he's 10. Secondly, I guarantee he only made that comment because he saw James Charles had rolled into the chat.
At number 2, Davi Vanity. The Davi Vanity controversy is something that's sort of stretched over the years and isn't one of the most well-known scandals Jeffree's been in. Davi Vanity is a former musician from the band Blood on the Dance Floor. He and Jeffree used to be friends back in his MySpace/music career days until something controversial and inappropriate happened involving Davi. Jeffree made allegations on Twitter that he saw Davi engaging in misconduct with girls that were under the age of 18 and said that he would no longer support him. About a year after his allegations, Jeffree took back what he said and seemed to have reconciled with Davi. Now Chris Hansen has caught wind of Davi's allegations and is now investigating. Fans have harped on Jeffree before for being complicit with Davi's actions, but others have defended him, saying that Davi is a master manipulator and somehow convinced Jeffree to forgive him. Either way, Jeffree's been involved in this drama since day one, since he was the first whistleblower.
Last but certainly least in our number 1 spot, racism. During his rise to the top, Jeffree Star has become infamous for his Twitter feuds and controversial comments. This became a serious issue though when allegations of racism were hurled his way that involved comments made 12 years ago. Additionally, he was accused of using black creators to present an image of diversity. Although the biggest person to call Jeffree out on his racism was vlogger extraordinaire Jackie Aina. She posted an open letter addressing conflict in the beauty community and pointed out Star's continued racism. In the tweet she said, "I have not and will not excuse his blatantly racist behavior, not his past references to me in derogatory terms, his continued use of the N-word, nor his efforts to eliminate spaces and opportunities for people of color. No one in the community should feel they are protected enough to continuously say things to make black women feel ugly and ashamed in their own skin. This is sadly a privilege that I and some, Jeffree included, have abused for far too long."
And at number 10, Ethan Klein. The relationship between Trisha and Ethan started when Ethan made a video comparing influencers on Instagram to how they look in reality, and one of those people that he roasted in the video was Trisha. He even made a point to call them, quote, the spokesperson for Instagram versus reality. The two had an on and off feud that led them to becoming frenemies, and they started their hit podcast together about 6 months ago. But it's not been smooth sailing, and Ethan has exposed Trish on multiple occasions. Ethan has called out Trisha numerous times for making anti-Semitic comments on the podcast on multiple occasions, and even though Trisha claims they're joking, Ethan doesn't think so. Also, during one episode of the podcast when the pair were having a fight, Trisha exposed exposed that Ethan struggled with a pill addiction many years ago, and this is something that he's never spoken about online, so he was very, very mad about it. And lastly, Trisha would somewhat make fun of him for his Tourette's. Ethan brought up multiple times how he doesn't like when Trisha does this and brings up his tics, but they still continue to do so. And at number 9, Philip DeFranco. Trisha and YouTuber Philip DeFranco also got into a feud because for some reason, Trisha would not stop bashing him on their podcast. Ethan has been friends with Philip DeFranco for years, so he would always defend Phil when Trish called him out for no good reason. Things even got nasty when Trish would talk about Phil's weight and talk about how Phil had gained weight and he adjusted his camera angles to make it seem like he didn't. This was crazy to hear because Trish touts himself as the poster child of body positivity, and Trisha constantly calls out anyone who body shames them. But for some reason, they decided to do it to Phil completely unprovoked. And at number 8, Hila Klein. Hila is the wife of Ethan and the fellow host on the H3 podcast. However, Hila and Trisha have a history of tension between them, mostly because Trisha frequently gets in the middle of Hila's and her brother Moses' family dynamic. Because to add even more drama into the mix, Trisha is engaged to Hila's brother Moses. Even though everyone can understand why Hila would be a bit apprehensive of Trisha and Moses dating, Trisha took this behavior as Hila not liking them. There was a huge blow during one of the Frenemies podcast episodes where Trisha brought up the question of if Hila liked them, and Ethan responded that Hila doesn't want to be brought up on the podcast. This turned into an all-out feud where Trisha unleashed on Hila and Ethan. Trisha even said in the heat of the moment that Moses didn't even like Hila or Ethan, and even called Hila the C word at one point as Trisha stormed out. And at number 7, Trevi Moran. Trevi Moran is an OG YouTuber along with Trisha and Shane Dawson. Trisha was called out for making a video with Shane and Trevi when they were both grown adults, but Trevi was underage. This controversial video of the three of them did also came up in Trisha's most recent feud with Nikita Dragon. Nikita brought up the inappropriate video along with tweets Trisha posted in 2014 insinuating that they wanted to sleep with Trevi when she became of age. As a response to the gross tweets, Trisha claimed that they were photoshopped tweets, but Trevi somewhat came to Nikita's defense against Trish and confirmed that the old tweets about Trevi were not photoshopped. And at number 6, the D'Amelio sisters. Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio got into a feud with Trisha Paytas last year when Trisha called out the sisters for being entitled brats in their dinner with the D'Amelios YouTube video. While the internet was already calling out the teens for their shady behavior, Trisha, who was 32 years old, decided to get into the drama and call out the sisters. And it's true that the D'Amelios were being disrespectful to their chef and they needed to get backlash so they would learn from the experience. However, Trisha did not need to insert themselves into the situation, and the sisters called out Trisha for attacking people half their age online. It's even more hypocritical now with the most recent Frenemies drama because the way that Charlie and Dixie treated their chef is basically the same way Trisha was treating the H3 production crew. Halfway number 5, the DID community. Back in March of 2020, Trisha got into a feud with a dissociative identity disorder or DID YouTuber after Trisha claimed that they had DID. This was revealed in a video Trish uploaded called Meet My Alters, showcasing T, Trixie, Tyson, Tierney, and Tabolter as the alters. Trish was instantly met with backlash from the DID community for self-diagnosing and spreading misinformation. In a follow-up video, Paytas tried to convince everyone that their DID was real. In a video eating a spicy chicken sandwich, Trish took a bite out of the sandwich, put it back in the bag, and when one of their alters took over, they're shocked that someone else took a bite out of the sandwich. YouTuber Anthony Padilla even spoke about this and said, quote, claiming you have dissociative identity disorder is not a cool excuse to mock people in the community and call them crazy. And at number 4, Moses Hackman. Trisha is engaged to fiance Moses Hackman. He isn't an influencer, but he is a public figure known for his art. However, Trisha exposed on an episode of Frenemies they hit Moses at one point during a fight, and later pictures of his bruises were leaked. Apparently, while they were arguing, Trisha lashed out and hit him on the arm, and it was such a bad hit that it left quite a large bruise on his arm. Trisha said on the podcast that it was wrong and a quote weak moment in their relationship. Moses forgave Trish and they moved on, but it has been a cause of concern for many fans. And at number 3, Keemstar. Drama Alert host Keemstar has been feuding with Trisha on and off for years, and he talks about her often on his program and calls Trisha out for their problematic behavior. And to make his dislike of Trisha very clear, Keem has involved Trisha in his ongoing feud with H3's Ethan Klein. Keem tweeted out December of 2020, quote, Ethan Klein has had the worst year ever. 1 lost subs, 2 lost sponsors, 3 lost respect, 4 gained weight, 5 now Trisha Paytas is his sister-in-law. I legitimately feel sorry for him. Ethan, if you see this, I hope you have a much better 2021. And of course, the goodwill was completely sarcastic in this tweet, and Keemstar thinks it's hilariously tragic that Trisha is now a part of Ethan's family. And at number 2, Nikita Dragon. Nikita Dragon is one of the most recent influencers to call out Trisha for their past past problematic behavior. It all started when Nikita was promoting her upcoming reality TV show on Snapchat, and Trisha mocked the fact that the show was gonna be on Snapchat. After the two got into a bit of a tiff, Nikita tweeted out, quote, "Trisha, haven't you done enough to the trans community? There's no need to downplay mine or any trans women's accomplishments. Happy Trans Day of Visibility." After some more back and forth, Nikita also brought up the fact that Trisha hit Moses in the past, as well as bringing up Trisha's past use of blackface. Keemstar even chimed in at one point, giving Nikita even more fuel against Trish. And finally at number 1, Nick Ocado Avocado. The feud between Nick Ocado and Trisha was the biggest drama in the mukbang community for months. Basically, Nick was a huge fan of Trish's, and when he was still small on the platform, Trish reached out to collab. He agreed, and even said that he was going to be flying from Colombia to LA, not solely for the collab, but it was a big part of the reason. And Nick told Trish the dates that he was flying in on multiple occasions. However, when Nick landed in LA and asked when they were going to meet up, Trish totally ghosted him, and he never heard from them again. Nick brought up the ghosting on his channel, which prompted tons of his fans to call out Trish on their channel. Trish ended up responding that they never intended to collab with Nick, and it wasn't even a set plan, it's just something they were talking about. But from the DMs that Nick shared, we know that's not true at all. After this, Trish was exposed as a liar and just a flat out mean person.
Number 10. Old videos. Since the scandal broke, so many people have been searching through videos of Ned and Alex together, and the result is very telling. Every single video gets progressively worse when you realize that Ned and Alex had been seeing each other in secret. In fact, most of the content with them together has not aged well at all, because you can clearly see the two of them flirting on camera. There was a video of Ned where he looked genuinely disappointed that Alex didn't pick him to team up with her for a game, and another video where he was in the hot tub laying his head on her lap, while the other guys exchanged uncomfortable glances at each other. Alex clearly didn't seem to mind though, but it was very strange because he was still her boss. One of the comments on the video says, "How was it just normal for a married man to put his head on another woman's thighs and we all ignored it?" In fact, if you go through the past Try Guys' videos, there are just so many clues that Alex was Ned's side piece. It's insane. Talk about foreshadowing. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Defending Alex. For some reason, the Try Guys seem to be pretty confident defending the woman who was cheating with Ned. In fact, all of them still follow Alex Herring on social media. In their new video statement, Eugene pleaded with fans to exercise kindness because women tend to get more hate than men on the internet in this kind of situation. He was insinuating that Alex has been receiving a lot of criticism from fans and they need to back off. So even though she cheated on her own fiance Will Thayer and emotionally ruined Ned's wife Ariel, it seems like Alex is walking away from all of this without a scratch. The Try Guys haven't publicly denounced her like they did with their executive producer, and they have made no moves to fire her, although that could be a legal risk for the company because as an employee, she could argue that she was coerced to enter the relationship because of the power that Ned had over her in the workplace. So the situation is certainly complicated. Number 8. They all knew. Despite the fact that they've known each other for years and built a successful brand together, the rest of the Try Guys wasted no time in cutting ties with their friend and released a statement just 2 days after the news broke out. On their official Instagram page, they stated that Ned had been fired. Quote, "Ned Fulmer is no longer working for the Try Guys. As a result of an internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate through this change." This action was so swift that it surprised a lot of people. But this is because they actually found out about Ned's affair 4 weeks before they made the announcement. Heath confirmed that the Try Guys were alerted to the scandal on September the 5th, and from there, the company launched a 3-week investigation into his actions. An inside source claimed that during the investigation, it was discovered that the employees knew what was up between Ned and Alex because they noticed flirting, lunchtime hookups, occasional sleepovers, and that the two of them constantly went to events together. Number 7. Multiple women. An Instagram page called Dumois has come forward with several blind items that claim that Ned cheated on Ariel with more than one woman, and some of the allegations date back several years. One anonymous user, claiming to be a former BuzzFeed employee, said, "This is not his first rodeo. Trust me, he's always been like this, and I can confirm that someone else might be coming forward because there have been other former BuzzFeed employees and former co-workers from BuzzFeed that know things and have experienced things. There are a lot of things about Ned that will spill in the next few days." Another user recounted her own story involving Ned. She wrote, "Early in 2016, I had just turned 21 and was doing stupid stuff. I sent Ned Fulmer a sexy selfie of me on Snapchat. He responded asking for more, and this went on for a few months. He was coming to Miami with the Try Guys and wanted to meet up one-on-one. I ended up declining. I'm positive this is just the first girl he's been caught with. Number 6. Fake personas. The success of the Try Guys' brand really has nothing to do with the content that they put out there. It's more about their performance of authenticity and the promise that the character on screen and the human behind the character are largely the same. This is especially true in their characters as nice guys. Keith even said, quote, "There's always some layer of performance on top of who you are, so the more I've been able to cultivate Keith as a character and have me be the same is great." So in other words, even real life Keith said that he wants to be more like the Keith that's on screen. And because all of the Try Guys are very publicly partnered, that only added to their personas. Ned actually said, "I became kind of known for my own relationship, and then we did more of it. I just kind of do it because digital media and YouTube culture is kind of showing who you are as a person." But in the end, this became the channel's downfall, because when Ned's facade fell away, the fans felt lied to. Number 5. Year-long affair. Like a stubborn weed that won't stop sprouting, the Ned Fulmer cheating scandal is blooming at a rapid pace. There is now a claim out there that their workplace relationship actually dates back to December last year. A source close to Will Thayer, Alex's ex-fiance, said that Will went through her phone and saw that her and Ned had first hooked up on a work trip in December. Will was able to forgive Alex, but apparently he reached out to Ned, warning him to back off. Then at the start of September, both Will and Ariel received photos and videos of Ned and Alex making out at a club, as well as holding hands in public while they were out in New York City. The timing was incredibly awkward because Ariel had just landed in New York to hang out with the group when she received those messages. She then confronted Ned, who confirmed that he and Alex had been in a relationship for almost a year. Upon finding out, Ariel then hightailed it out of the city and flew back to LA, which makes complete sense because how could she stay there after that? Number 4. Sneaking around. Fans started to suspect that Ned was cheating when they noticed that he wasn't involved in the group's videos for the last couple of weeks. In late September, the tweet that prefaced the drama wrote, "Ned has not been present in some of the recent Try Guys' projects. Ned does not appear in the past 3 videos or intros. He also was not in the past 3 podcast episodes." As the main producer and one of the faces of the company, fans found this extremely worrying, and pretty soon it started to look like one of the Try Guys was trying infidelity. So they became more vigilant of his appearances on the channel. It was also very suspicious that Ned and Alex were seen in an Instagram photo promoting Keith's new Eat the Menu series, but they were not seen in the final cut of the video. So Ned had essentially been absent quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. But now we know that the company was most likely investigating him at the time, so he might have even been suspended from the workplace entirely. Number 3. BuzzFeed reaction. They say that no one knows you better than your co-workers, and in Ned's case that might be true as well. Former BuzzFeed alum Devin Lytle tweeted, "2022, the year we realized that wife guys are still guys." Jasmine Robbins posted a cryptic meme with Kermit the Frog and wrote, "Y'all shocked?" So she made it seem like the affair between Ned and Alex was something of an open secret back when they both worked at BuzzFeed. One Twitter user responded by saying, "Makes me feel like Ned had wandering eyes for a long time. Maybe that's why he made the 'I love my wife' thing his thing, to overcompensate. Couples who always flaunt how happy they are and in love they are usually have something to prove. It was right in front of us the whole time, I guess." So it's entirely possible that Ned's on-camera nice guy persona was exactly that, just a persona, and that behind the scenes he has no issues cheating on his wife. Number 2. Office hookup. In such a small workplace, a lot of people are wondering how it is that the Try Guys didn't seem to notice the affair, because according to their new video statement, Ned had admitted to them that it had been going on for quite some time. Ned was the executive producer of the Try Guys. The 35-year-old comedian and author founded the group in 2014 while working for BuzzFeed, so he was pretty much at the top of the office pyramid. Alex Herring, on the other hand, worked under Ned as the associate producer, and even though Ned called it a consensual workplace relationship, everyone knows that Alex was his employee. In fact, she's been featured in tons of videos over the years, and casual fans of the channel have gotten to know her pretty well. It's obvious that everyone in the Try Guys' workplace is very close with each other, so a lot of people are scratching their heads at how such a problematic relationship was allowed to flourish unnoticed. And number 1, their audience. If you've watched any of the Try Guys' videos, references to Ned's wife abounded from the very beginning. In fact, just the way he says "my wife" has earned catchphrase status and inspired countless compilation videos, and even official Try Guys merchandise, including a figurine with a plastic Ned that repeats the phrase "my wife" at the press of a button. In general, fans felt that the Try Guys were walking examples of non-toxic masculinity, community, and so the men were put on a bit of a pedestal. In fact, of the more than 7.5 million subscribers to their channel, the vast majority of the audience is women, nearly 80%. The age demographic is young women in their late teens and early 20s. Having a large female audience is not a red flag, but it goes to show you that there was always a performative aspect to the group's feminism. I mean, that's the whole reason for their fan base. In a way, Ned's infidelity proves that the Try Guys do not necessarily hold the same values that they claim to represent on screen.
At number 10 is her inappropriate content. When Colleen first graced the internet in 2008, her content was nothing truly out of the ordinary at first glance. However, the Miranda character was kid-friendly coded with her loud style of comedy and colorful outfits, but often made use of adult themes throughout her videos. Ballinger included more than just a few innuendos in these YouTube videos, as she made references to her character Miranda's uncle attacking her or cuddling her, various mentions of assault, and frequently mentioned X-rated films. Watching these videos back makes me cringe with how blatant and intense she got away with being. After the sheer amount of backlash multiple YouTubers have received from creating inappropriate content for minors, it's confusing that Miranda Sings never faced the same treatment. Although it's always the parents' job to vet whatever their young one is consuming online, I can't help but think that someone who caters their content towards them would have the foresight. Coming in at number 9 is her ableist behavior. Even more so dangerous than her subliminal adult jokes is her careless display of disability stereotypes. Many have speculated on whether or not Miranda Sings' entire shtick is simply an act of punching down. In fact, Ballinger's portrayal of the character has become increasingly controversial over time, intensifying traits such as her poor social skills and notorious imitation of a speech impediment reminiscent of the comedic device portraying unattractive, outcast, and unintelligent characters through odd behavior and speech patterns. Perpetuating these harmful stereotypes influences how people with medical conditions that cause speech disorders and behavioral differences, such as autism spectrum disorder, Huntington's disease, vocal cord paralysis, and among others, are viewed by themselves and the rest of the world. Ridiculing anyone's amount of ability or for things they have no control over is never a great look, and certainly should never be something that's highly praised. And at number 8 is the Miranda Sings book. Like many popular YouTubers in the early 2010s, Miranda Sings also had a book deal gracing the shelves at the front of Barnes & Noble. The book, entitled Self-Health, is a quote, an unhelpful self-help book, and although it's indeed unhelpful, the term barely scratches the surface of what this reading material entails. Now, promoting reading books to children is a noble gesture. However, promoting children to read your twisted and gross ideas isn't always something that gets to the top of the New York bestsellers list. As soon as the book hit shelves, Colleen was hit with waves of criticism from concerned parents, with sections like making yourself feel better by making other people feel worse, wiping, and mentions of special cuddles with your uncle. Parents deemed this book a bit too vulgar for children's content, and I don't know if the term unhelpful really cuts it, with such a strange and unnerving collection of tips. At number 7 is Colleen's history of mistreating animals. Since her allegations of mistreating people have come to light, it isn't a surprise that her energy isn't any different when it comes to animals. In a now deleted YouTube video, Colleen nonchalantly described intentionally tormenting her childhood dog until it bit her in the face, explaining that afterwards she lied and said she didn't know why the dog bit her. This decision to put the fault on the dog instead of herself was cause for the dog to be put down. A traumatic and deeply sad story, although Colleen laughs while recounting this memory, showing very little remorse for her actions as though she believed it to be nothing more than a funny story. Although I understand how some may react to tragedy in their life with laughter, something about this situation felt incredibly off. This isn't the only clip we have that makes us believe Colleen mistreats animals, as she also has pet bunnies and a dog, keeping both in very small, cramped, and dirty cages. She's made sure not to put these pets in vlogs anymore because of the backlash she's received, but hey, at least her Persian cats are groomed. Coming in at number 6 is Colleen's history of queerbaiting, which, if you aren't familiar with the term, is when people make their audience believe that their sexuality is something that it isn't in order to garner clicks. Colleen has posted a slew of YouTube videos that have been since renamed or deleted, titled things like I'm a little bit gay, I'm in love with a woman, how to tell your grandma you're gay, and my coming out story. Behaving so unseriously about this topic gives the impression that she does not have respect for people who have had experiences with coming out as part of the LGBTQ+ community. There are also instances in these videos where she thought the concept of being gay was incredibly hilarious, even though someone's identity isn't usually a great punchline, but you know, this obviously isn't her first experience punching down. Making a joke out of something that can be quite traumatic to many people is not okay, but also cashing in on clicks from clickbait about a sexuality you do not identify with and pretending to be gay for laughs is always incredibly cheap and lazy. And at number 5 is disrespecting an unhoused person. In another now deleted video that recently resurfaced, Colleen Ballinger and her friend Todrick Hall are seen harassing an unhoused person sleeping in a laundromat. In this needlessly cruel video, the duo points a camera towards the sleeping person and begins to make jokes at their expense. Harassing someone from a vulnerable community is an explicit show of Ballinger and Hall's lack of compassion, and neither of them have yet to take responsibility for these actions. I know the rest of the points on this list aren't any less disgusting, but this one is just so absurdly vile. like a type of maliciousness that you have to really think about in order to pursue. At number 4 is Colleen's disregard for consent. This next one on our list is all about her disrespect towards her ex-husband Josh's lack of consent. There are many instances where Ballinger admits to making her ex-husband uncomfortable for her own amusement, including touching his butt simply because he doesn't want her to, or getting in his personal space to irritate him. In a video on Joshua's YouTube channel titled "My Wife Put Her Hands Down My Pants," is pretty self-explanatory what may happen. This video depicts Ballinger supposedly putting her hand down his pants, which is gratefully not shown on camera, while he tells her to stop and is pretty visibly uncomfortable. Apparently, Colleen was just pulling at his skin, but it's not like that isn't any less weird or uncomfortable for viewers to witness. These situations are incredibly disconcerting considering the allegations that have just come to light. Josh has actually spoken up about this experience with Colleen in reference to her recent apology video. He says on Twitter, "This behavior was my reality anytime I spoke up and disagreed with her actions and rhetoric during 2009 to 2016. I was gaslit too. I was made to feel like I was always the problem. Any pain I felt was an inconvenience and was belittled. Every ounce of what you're feeling, I understand." Coming in at number 3 is her romanticization of disordered eating habits. In many vlogs, Ballinger openly admits to unhealthy eating habits, in one video telling the viewers that she ate nothing more than a bag of chips for an entire day, and her infamous applesauce diet that she took part in after pregnancy in order to lose the weight quickly. Many believe that these mentions of poor nutrition are done to brag, as she's also been seen body checking in Instagram posts, as well as a video entitled "My Body Before and After Quarantine." She also flaunts the fact that she can still fit into her old childhood clothes, in one vlog insisting that she squeeze into her 9-year-old niece's romper. Colleen's unhealthy mindset has had a direct effect on fans. In Adam McIntyre's aforementioned video, he explained that Ballinger would often compliment him on his skinny arms and stomach, and mentioned the persisting body image issues he suffers with at the hands of these comments. Although her behavior is inexcusable, eating disorders are difficult to overcome, and I hope Colleen is able to get the help she needs. Our runner-up is Colleen's racist jokes. A video from 10 years ago depicts both Ballinger and her sister Rachel in exaggerated makeup, putting on accents that create a degrading stereotype of Latinas. The video was suitably called "Miranda Sings is Racist." Colleen addressed this video with an apology uploaded to her channel, saying, "It is not funny and it is completely hurtful. I am so ashamed and embarrassed that I ever thought this was okay. I was a sheltered teenager who was stupid and ignorant and clearly extremely culturally insensitive. Racial stereotypes are not funny, they're not a joke, and they should never be joked about." But this was not an isolated incident. She as well, in a video entitled "How to Sing Like a Black Woman," made use of offensive and blatantly ignorant stereotypes of black people. Alongside this, the Miranda Sings Twitter account was home to a slew of offensive tweets making fun of POC communities, including one that read, "Beware of the Mexican masseuse with sharp nails." The amount of racist incidents that Ballinger took part in makes it hard to believe she wasn't called out about this earlier in her career. And number 1 on our list is about the cancer fundraiser. The point on this list that leads me to believe that Colleen's moral compass really has no way of coming back. Since 2015, Ballinger has held annual fundraisers for Family Reach, an organization that supports families that have children with cancer. The legitimacy of what one may believe to be a noble pursuit has come into question after fans found that Colleen uses a third-party site, Fundly, which is not an option publicly provided by charities and organizations to collect donations. Fundly puts the money into Ballinger's bank account instead of donating directly to the charity, and has caused people to ask why she's acting as an unnecessary middleman and speculate as to whether she's using the fundraisers to lower her taxes. When approached about where the money is going and to see receipts, Colleen avoids answering by saying that her haters hate that she's raising money for kids with cancer. These allegations have not been proven, however, it's confusing nonetheless.
Coming in number 10, Austin McBroom. You know, we have to start this list off with the infamous Austin McBroom. I'm sure we could do an entire list on just his own scams, but let's revisit a few of his more recent ones, shall we? After being outed as the CEO of Social Gloves Entertainment, Austin came under fire for not paying the fighters. If the fighters don't get paid, well, then the scam was to get these inexperienced influencers to bring their fan bases in to watch them fight each other so that Austin could essentially make some money. Hopefully that all gets sorted out soon though. In addition to that, however, Austin was also called out in February for selling a program where he promised to teach people the secrets to social media and help them achieve their dreams. Pretty generic, but that's how he sold it. In order to access these courses, fans needed to purchase a thing called a gold membership, which is priced at around $49.99 a month. And because the first way to make money is to give to Austin. Hold on a second, that doesn't sound right.
In reality, like, you guys got scammed.
Coming in number 9, Catherine McBroom. Even Austin's wife, Catherine McBroom, is under fire from a lot of fans who are complaining about their orders from her skincare company 1212 Gateway. I saw a lot of buyer's remorse as well happening, with one customer on Instagram saying, "Their resolution to my damaged $100 order was to send a $20 gift card. Save your bank, y'all." With others giving a much harsher warning, even calling the product itself disgusting. Another customer commented, "Do not buy these products. I loved them the first time I purchased, but the second time I ordered, they came dirty with pubic or nose hair. Disgusting." I posted a video on TikTok. And so that we can prove that we have the receipts, let's play the TikTok of this customer unboxing their Catherine McBroom skincare products. And if you're eating, maybe wait. Coming in number 8, Alyssa Violet. Alyssa Violet, who has just over 3.7 million subscribers on YouTube, left fans frustrated and very confused after she did a Louis Vuitton giveaway. In order to enter the contest to win a Louis bag, all you had to do was follow a company called Cheek that was sponsoring this giveaway and tag 2 friends in the comment section. At first, Alyssa posted that she would be announcing the winners very soon, but then that post was suddenly pulled away. Then when fans checked this Cheek page, it resulted in a broken link. From there, this other account appeared called Cheek Wins, and on that page, they began saying that they were going to now notify the winners. However, one of the winners from California told BuzzFeed News that she has not yet received her Louis Vuitton bag and that communication was awful with Cheek. Cheek then also responded to BuzzFeed and said that the winner would receive their prize soon, but the other 2 winners were suddenly disqualified for being too young or not residing within the US. Plus, to make things even weirder, the spokesperson for Cheek also said that they've now scrapped the company. So yeah, one big scam for more followers, I guess? Hope it was worth it. Coming at number 7, Cole Kerrigan. Cole was accused of scamming his fans after he posted an Instagram story saying that he would give promos and shoutouts on his page, but would be charging about $100 per person. He's no stranger to controversy either. In May of 2019, he was kicked out of the Team 10 house and even accused Austin McBroom of SA. Needless to say, he spent a lot of time getting himself into drama within the YouTuber community alone. People became suspicious of this whole shoutout scam though after screenshots showed that Cole had asked those paying him to categorize the payment under family and friends rather than business, therefore avoiding paying any taxes. Then on top of that, several people said that they had spent upwards of $300 and ended up receiving no shoutouts. Plus, when they complained on Twitter, Cole just blocked them. Coming at number 6, Kayla Massa. Kayla Massa had garnered over 300,000 Instagram followers and around 100,000 YouTube subscribers. But on February 13, 2020, federal authorities in New Jersey arrested and charged her after a complaint led to her being found guilty of illegally scamming over 45 of her followers out of almost $2 million, many of which were businesses and people under the age of 18. Kayla would post photos of just piles of money and then caption them with something along the lines of, "Hit me up if you're interested in making legal money." It's weird that they have to put legal in there. When people would message her about this, she would encourage them to hand over their banking information so that she could better manage their money. And once she had access to, things like their PIN card and credit card number, Massa would then drain their accounts. She would hide fake checks of stolen money by depositing them into her followers' bank accounts using the names of real businesses, and then would withdraw the cash before the bank could flag it as suspicious. Authorities were able to link the fraudulent checks to specific stores, and after checking security cameras, found Massa on film shopping and paying for items with these checks. Coming number 5, the Hype House. Now, although it has been a very long time since the Hype House has uploaded any content to their YouTube page, they still have an impressive 1.67 million subscribers. Plus, every video has over 4 million views. But back in August of 2020, when this TikTok squad was really popping off, they came under fire for allegedly scamming their fans with a new merch promotion. Hype House co-founder Thomas Petro advertised a necklace as free and even went as far as claiming that they were worth upwards of $100. All you had to do was pay about $20 for shipping and handling, which is pretty bonkers for just a necklace. Meanwhile, others took more of an issue with who this promotion was aimed at, with many accusing the Hype House of taking advantage of their young and naive fan base. Coming number 4, FaZe Banks. The FaZe clan has been growing their allegiance of fans exponentially really after they made history when appearing as the first ever gaming organization on the cover of Sports Illustrated. FaZe Banks in particular has just over 5.2 million subscribers on YouTube, but most of his fans get updates from him via Twitter, where he has an audience of 2.7 million followers. Much like many other influencers though, FaZe Banks has been accused of scamming his fans with cryptocurrencies. Specifically altcoins like you can see in this tweet. He announces it as just a giveaway, but that $10,000 is just in whatever this this crappy altcoin is. So a bunch of his fans go buy it based on the fact that FaZe Banks supports it, and then it drives up the price, and then Banks just withdraws his money, and then the value drops. For example, that 10 grand, which was a prize, is now worth about $1,000. I mean, who knows? It could even be less at this point. Coming in number 3, Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross is another popular Twitch streamer who has crossed over to many other platforms and garnered a large audience. His YouTube channel has just over 1.4 million subscribers, but while appearing on Twitch, he told his audience that he had partnered with a new altcoin, you know, similar to FaZe Banks. He then told them that he gets to give out $20,000 of this coin, but after he pumped up its value and then dumped the crypto, people saw a significant loss. For example, if you purchased $100 of the token that he was promoting, it would be worth close to $10 today. The worst part was how open he was about scamming his own fans.
Chat, by the way, that MILF token I did a while back, I already told you guys don't buy that shit. I got paid a bag to do that shit. Like, I don't give a I hope none of you guys actually bought it.
Coming in number 2, Corinna Kopf. Corinna, who has 5.7 million followers on Instagram and 2.3 million followers on Twitter, tweeted out her OnlyFans launch that soon went viral. After fans of hers paid the $25 fee to sign up for her OnlyFans account, many of them were furious to find out that she was basically just resharing photos from her Instagram page. Def Noodles reported on the outrage and said, Corinna Kopf's fans angry after many spent $25 on her brand new OnlyFans, only to find many of the 11 pictures available had already been posted on Instagram, according to Newsweek. As a result, some are calling Corinna a scammer. Although Corinna was quick to defend herself and later said in a tweet, "People who think my OnlyFans is about to be just Instagram content, you are dead wrong. If I posted everything right out of the gate, it would just get leaked, just wait." Even with all the backlash though, she still had no qualms about sharing how much money she made from, scamming her new subscribers. Adding in another tweet, "We are 0.01% of all creators on OnlyFans." Weird flex, but okay. Last but certainly not least in our number 1 spot, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is perhaps the biggest philanthropist on the platform, and because of his good deeds, he has garnered just over 64 million subscribers. Plus, he is consistently on YouTube's trending page. However, after a recent Magic the Gathering challenge / contest, really, Mr. Beast came under fire for not paying the winners. Mr. Beast joined the official Friday Night Magic stream, where he challenged players to knock him off of his pedestal. A total of $50,000 was up for grabs that would eventually be split between 2 lucky winners who actually defeated Mr. Beast in this game. Unfortunately, despite the event actually taking place on April 23rd, neither of the winners have received any of their prize money. And this has led some to believe that the event itself was actually not intended to have a winner and was instead a scam. One player even started a Reddit thread to track the progress of this story and said, "In my opinion, the giveaway was flawed from the start or intentionally designed to have a big chance of no winner at all, because there was most likely a big number of ineligible participants, either by age or country or residence, and each winner had a period of 10 or 14 days, not sure anymore, to claim the prize, and if no one claims the prize, they may look for another winner, which they might do once, but if no winners are found in the second round, I doubt they will try again to find another winner." And unfortunately, that's how the scam goes.